The doctor will not give you testosterone for your low libido because you are not married.
You're kidding me.
I am not kidding you.
Oh, that's terrible. I mean,
It's
how could you
terrible. It's
embarrass?
terrible. So you can start to see as I build my case why sticking testosterone just to libido, even if it was true, is a fraught thing in the doctor's office.
All right. Well, it's a real pleasure and a real honor to have Dr. Kelly Casperson on the show today. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Before we start, I just have to congratulate you on doing such an amazing job speaking in front of the FDA to help remove that black
Thank
box
you.
warning and talk about
Thank you.
testosterone. Such a proud moment. One of my questions I had prepared for you was, what was it like to prepare that? But I just heard your whole podcast episode talking about it. So everyone can hear the full
If
story.
anybody wants, yeah, head over to the You're Not Broken podcast. I do a rundown of the FDA. It was great. I mean, everybody who was on that panel was meant to be there. They're all top professionals and experts in their field. We met about 3 times beforehand just to like really dial in. How do we want to say it? What do we want to make our message? Like it was professionally done, and I think that showed. And I think the FDA liked it. And now we just sit and wait and say, so what can you do for us?
Yeah, exactly. And that actually we just had Vonda on again, and she said the same thing. I didn't realize how you guys were totally prepared for this, and you gathered as a team
Oh, yeah.
to be in front of the
Yeah, yeah.
board. And
That's a
that,
big deal. We don't want any surprises. And the other thing is like we each had 5 minutes and we didn't want to be repetitive and we didn't want to say the same thing. So even though I think you can say this 10 times in different ways, right? But we all wanted to say, okay, what's uniquely you that you want to bring? And to tell you the truth, I had to fight for testosterone. That was not a shoe-in.
mm,
And even though so much of my audience and people who understand testosterone are like, oh my God, the FDA absolutely needs to help us out with testosterone. But so many people they're so ready to get the boxed warning off of vaginal estrogen that it's almost like we can't think of anything else until that happens. And so
yeah.
I kept having to bring up, like, you guys, we can do more than one thing. We can ask for more than one thing. But yeah, testosterone it's not a shoe-in for everybody. It's still the ugly stepsister of hormones in some people's brains.
It's a side note,
Yeah.
unfortunately, in this menopause space. Everybody's talking about estrogen and progesterone. And I guess with the black box warning, it's such a low hanging fruit. It's such a mistake. It's so kind of obvious. It should be approved.
It's embarrassing at this point.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
it is.
And for people who are listening who don't know what we're talking about, after the WHI, the FDA unilaterally put a very scary warning on any estrogen product, no matter if it was a skin cream for your vagina or if it was synthetic and oral or transdermal patch, no matter what it was, which these are all very different medications, they all got the same warning, which says blood clot, stroke, liver disease, probable dementia. And it's all wrong. It's never been proven. And we have hundreds of thousands of people studied with this at this point. So it really is an embarrassment that the federal government's warning label is so inaccurate and it's actually causing harm because there's a paper published 2 years ago that if a woman is lucky enough, fortunate enough to get a vaginal estrogen prescription, 30% will then not use it because she goes home and reads the warning label,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
completely inaccurate. If people didn't get that, it's wrong. It does not, vaginal estrogen does not cause those things, never has been proven to cause those things.
Yeah. And you had 2 hours of experts in front, even though 5 minutes each, but you had a lot of people explaining that. And I'll have a link to that in the show notes as well, because it's something I think everybody should listen to and catch up to speed. But as you
It really
mentioned,
is a master class. Like people say that 2 hours,
yeah.
you learn a lot. And it's so wonderfully done in 5 minute increments that like it's very watchable.
And you had true experts. I mean, we have people calling themselves menopause experts, and we're like, what does that mean even? But you do have people really, really chosen in this field. And from researchers to clinicians, people are practicing boots on the ground or in the lab. It was too much. It was so much. It was so much. So I think everyone should go listen to that just to catch up to speed. And as you mentioned, there are so many different formulations. I mean, we've done episodes on all the different creams and gels and sprays and injections and whatever exists out there. when I'm seeing research and when I go to some of these menopause societies, I just went to one in Valencia for the European Menopause Society, and it was just nobody really differentiates it. It's just it's still like we talk about estrogen. Are you talking about estradiol, estriol? Are you talking about pellets? Are you talking about oral? What is it?
Yeah, you're right. In order to have an intelligent conversation, you must specify ahead of time. I was thinking about like just doing an Instagram reel for like rules for our menopause society is in Orlando in October. And like rules of this menopause society must include, you must say, if you're quoting data, what was the formulation of that data? What was the dosing of that data? What was the route of that data? Because it all matters. And you can't take apples and explain oranges with it. It doesn't work. So you people really do have to be specific because there's so many different moving parts as far as what has been researched and what do we know.
Yeah, it's crazy because you would think among such experts and these and professional organizations, they would be differentiated. And here we have laymen like me just going to read research, and you're just still stuck. What does it mean when you say progesterone, or what does it mean when you say
Yeah.
estrogen, and which one? And yeah, so we need to clear that up, hopefully, in research. And I think, yeah, we'll have to hopefully get a mandate on everyone following the rules the next Menopause Society meetings. But I would really love to cover. There's going to be not enough time for sure with this episode, so we'll have to have you on again. But in your talks, you mentioned that there's 1 in 6 of us will have a hip fracture, of which 30% of us will die within a year. And of those who survive, only half will fully recover. And Dr. Von der Wright mentioned this as well. And you shared that if we have access to a very inexpensive drug, we were 50% less likely to need a cane or a walker 6 months after a hip fracture. So tell us what this magic drug is.
Testosterone. I mean, that's the big question. Is like if it's something your body just naturally makes and you're just replacing it to those levels, should we actually call this a drug? Because I think the drug has like the word drug or medication has such a stigma in some people's eyes. I'm like, I don't want to take any drugs. I'm like, but I want to give back what my body always had when it functioned really good. Yeah, and the stat that you're bringing up comes from oh man, 2025, I think it's 2025, JAMA paper, and it was actually a negative study. And what that means is what their proposed endpoint was, which was how far can you walk at 6 minutes, which is kind of a standard endurance metric. It's not like they made that up, but it's been used in other studies. But women who were rehab after a hip fracture plus testosterone we're no likely to walk any farther in a 6 minute walk test than people on placebo with standard rehab, right? So they're like, oh, testosterone doesn't make you walk farther in a 6 minute walk test at 6 months. That's what the abstract says. So if you look at that study, you're like, oh, it's a negative testosterone study. But if you actually read the paper, which it's free online, feel free to go read it. At 6 months, women were about 50% less likely to need a cane or a walker. Now, ask me what women care about. Do you want to walk farther in 6 minutes or do you want to be assistance free?
Yeah.
And there's a very simple biologic reason for this. Why would testosterone make you not use a walker or a cane? Testosterone helps lean body mass. It helps core strength. They've got studies they did before this study showing MRI, your core muscles actually grow when given testosterone. And so they're like, it's probably your core that's just stronger, which is why you don't need a cane or a walker. So it's all very easily explainable. And I would say that's a heck of a more positive study than saying you can't walk farther at 6 minutes, in a 6 minute walk test.
Yeah. It's crazy because we don't understand or we cannot visualize ourselves as an 80-year-old. And when I was doing my master's of gerontology, we spent so much time on falls and fractures. And at the beginning, I was like, why are we talking about, I don't understand. Why is this on the curriculum until I actually took the course and I understood? Because I thought, well, you just fall and get up and what's the big deal? But obviously it is life threatening. And that's why we talked about fall prevention and what to do. But so we know that we lose bone and we start to lose a lot in our mid 30s, more or less. And then it just sort of declines like everything else. And
the 2 years before your last period is your highest rate of bone loss, which is shocking to know.
Right. 2 years right before.
2 years before. Yep, because that's a pretty dramatic estrogen dip. And that's a crappy statistic because how do you know when your period's going to end?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there are some products coming out. I don't know how good they are, but I'm getting these notifications that we can sort of predict more or less when your menopause birth date will be based
Yeah,
on.
I mean, you can just by following your periods. Not everybody, because not everybody has periods. But when you start skipping a period, when you start spacing them out a couple of months, you're usually within 2 years. So you don't
Yeah.
have to pee. You don't have to pee on a stick to know that.
Hmm.
But the whole point is here we talk about, are women suffering enough? Only treat the symptomatic women. In America, we screen for osteoporosis with a DEXA at age 65. That's 15 years without hormones. It's way too late to screen and treat. And I think where the next 5 years is going to take us is the perimenopausal women are going to start saying, why do I want to wait for my bone loss to have happened before I start preventing the bone loss? So I think we're going to start treating with hormones a lot more perimenopausal women.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things that we can do in our, I would say in our 50s, because most women are listening are in our 50s, 40s, and 50s to protect our 70, 80, 90-year-old self. And it's not like we wake up with dementia at age 80 and that's it. It's a gradual.
People don't know that. People don't know that, and this is how I describe it, is like on that awful Tuesday where you get diagnosed with dementia or Aunt Susie gets diagnosed with dementia, it started 20 years ago,
Hmm.
right? But people don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. A fracture can start 30 years before. And so why
Mhm.
wait until we have a fall and a fracture when we can use things like testosterone or other things that we obviously do? We always like to talk about hormones on this podcast, but we also have to remind people there's so much more behind that as well.
Yeah, I mean, hormones help you keep the house strong, right? Like they're bricks,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make a home, right? And so
Exactly.
if you eat poorly and you drink alcohol and you sleep like shit and you don't manage your stress, like hormones aren't going to get you where you're hoping they're going to get you. They're just bricks, right? Bricks don't just, you need more to make a home.
Exactly. And we need to get the foundation right. But when we go to talk about testosterone, let's explain why there isn't an FDA approved formulation of testosterone for women.
Oh, fear and bias.
Fear and bias.
I
And
mean, how many people know that female bodies make testosterone,
yeah, yeah,
right?
everybody.
Now, the FDA should know that, but most doctors actually don't know that,
What? You'd
right?
say most doctors don't? That's
No,
amazing.
I didn't know that. I didn't learn that in med school.
Oh, wow. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, it's
Well,
totally crazy. You cannot make estradiol without going through testosterone along the cholesterol pathway.
mhm, yeah.
But here we are. What are we told? The ovary makes estradiol. We're
Yeah.
not told the ovary makes testosterone, and some of it, about 25% of it, converts to estradiol.
Yeah.
That's a whole different narrative that we don't use. So we already have bias of what is Dr. Casperson wanting to put testosterone in female bodies for? That sounds crazy. Because if you don't understand ovaries make testosterone, testosterone declines with age, then you sound like you're trying to turn somebody into a man or give them something that's not natural, et
Mhm,
cetera, et cetera. So men got their testosterone product approved with the FDA with 6 months safety data. It's
mhm,
reasonable. A lot of drugs have 6 months safety data. The female testosterone patch called Intrinsa had over 4 years of safety data, and it showed that it worked. So it worked better than placebo, and this was for libido, but it was 2 years after the WHI came out. And
Oh,
so everybody was completely freaked out about hormones. And
yeah.
it didn't get approved.
Yeah, I heard you mention this before in one of your episodes, and I was like, a female testosterone patch? No one hears about that. No one talks.
Europe had one. Didn't you know Europe had one?
No.
They took it off the market.
When did they do
It was
that?
approved. It
A while
was
ago or?
multiple years ago now.
Okay.
But so it was approved. It was approved only for surgical menopausal patients. So you had to have had your ovaries removed.
Hmm.
So it's a much smaller part of the population.
Yeah.
And I just think people didn't know about it. It didn't sell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you had one, it was on the market, nobody used it. They took it off the market because it didn't sell.
Oh, how crazy. Hopefully that'll change. And we have a female testosterone in New Zealand, I think Australia, I think the UK can get access to it. Do you
They
have,
have it not on their government plan, so it is available. You just have to pay cash.
yeah.
And South Africa.
And South Africa, yeah. So when do you think the US and Canada will start having an FDA approved?
Oh, well, yeah. I can't speak for Canada. I don't know what Canada's timeline is. I don't think Canada's moving fast. America can do it within 3 years. If they move, America can do it within 3 years.
Yeah, up until then, I
And they're a
guess.
part, they're good. Yeah, well, this is the beginning of the conversation, sadly, because women have been taking testosterone since 1942, actually. We've been giving women testosterone for 80 years. It's just finally catching on.
Wow.
So that's the other thing. Is like, this is nothing new, my friends. This is an old conversation. But I think bias, I think people pushing it forward only for libido is an incredibly stupid move.
Yeah.
If you get something FDA approved for libido, insurance isn't going to cover it because a lot of insurances have sexual health exclusionary riders. So then it won't sell because people can't use their insurance. So there's a lot of testosterone has a lot of hiccups. The other problem with testosterone is because of the Olympic doping scandals of the 1980s, our Congress put an anti-doping act up in 1991, put a whole bunch of synthetic anabolic bodybuilding stuff on there, but they also threw testosterone on there. So testosterone is regulated in America like Tylenol with codeine, ketamine, narcotics.
Yeah.
So that's an extra barrier, especially to telehealth, which is now picking up, and having to have multiple DEA. Those are DEA licenses are state, not federal.
Hmm.
So one of the asks at the FDA that I asked with my testosterone talk was when you get a female dose testosterone, don't have it be underneath below the amount that the DEA is going to regulate because I can't make you be an Olympic gold pole jumper with a female dose testosterone. Like it's not going to happen. And we need to stop wasting our DEA's resources on normal human hormones.
And is this why some doctors are prescribing DHEA to try to get around that? And
Yeah.
because they just don't have that license. But
Yeah.
I understand
It
it
doesn't, but it doesn't work as well.
doesn't,
You know,
yeah.
just because you take a pre-hormone orally does not mean your body's going to convert it how you want it to convert it. So
Yeah.
the studies, the oral DHEA is very safe. I
Hmm.
think we have plenty of studies to say that, but the data is very mixed as far as who it's going to help.
Hmm.
So I always tell people if you want to use it, fine. Side effects kind of oily skin, but it seems to be very safe.
Hmm.
But it's not standard hormone therapy at this point.
Yeah, most doctors who are in clinical practice, when I ask them about the DHEA, they say they're just not seeing it convert or enough into testosterone in their patients.
Yeah. And the other problem is DHEA is a supplement in America. And I know in Canada it's a prescription, but supplements aren't regulated. Is it 5 milligrams that you're taking? How do we actually know?
Yeah.
So that's the other problem is because it's a supplement, the quality of the product is so variable.
You mentioned that testosterone does so much more than libido, and it seems as the menopause societies around the world are saying, well, we approve it for libido and like that's it, nothing else. But why don't we talk a little bit more about what you're seeing in the research and as well in your practice? What else does testosterone do?
Yeah. And this is why we're like the thought leaders are rebranding this because we think sex hormones is fraught with bias. Number one, you can't say sex on Instagram.
Yeah.
Number two, these hormones do way more than reproduction. So there's just such a bias to that. But testosterone's a neurohormone. Like it helps glial cells, it helps your myelin sheaths. People who have normal testosterones have less risk of Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis. And men with low testosterone have higher rates of depression and dementia. I would argue the same's probably true for women. We just don't have the data. But when people say testosterone is only for libido, I say, great, what's libido? What is it? It's a mood. Well, where's your mood made?
In your brain.
In your brain. Okay, so if it's only for libido, but libido's in your brain, is libido just like a 1 inch square part on the left side of your brain? Like, does testosterone just work in the libido part of your brain? What part of your brain's the libido part?
Hmm.
Freaking all of it. Right. And so you just have to educate people a little bit to get people to see how stupid testosterone's only for libido is. Like it's for a mood, so testosterone helps moods. Got it.
Hmm.
And then libido is a lot of parts of the brain working together to have interest in sex. Besides the fact, the data supports all domains of sexual health for testosterone. So it helps arousal, it helps orgasm, it helps lubrication and moisture, it helps erections, right? So to say it's only for libido is really gatekeeping. And I really think it's keeping people in the dark of what testosterone actually does. Like testosterone's not in our body just for us to reproduce. It doesn't even make any sense. So why, if that was true, why would we have testosterone receptors in our bone? Why would we have testosterone receptors in our muscle? So people don't know. So then they hear, oh, it's only for libido. And the problem with that, so fine, let's have it just be for one thing. Let's just argue that for a hot second. Are doctors trained to talk about sex really well in the doctor's office?
No.
No. Can you measure libido? How do I know your libido isn't what it used to be? Can I x-ray that?
Mhm.
Can I get a lab value? So what happens, and this is happening in Australia, women go in, they want testosterone, and they either lie to their doctor and say they have low libido. So now we're lying to get a hormone, which is awful. Or number two, they say, I actually have low libido. And the doctor says, well, but that's not really that bad, right? You can just drink a glass of wine, right? Like you can just have sex anyways. You don't have to enjoy it, right? So the sex conversation alone is fraught in the doctor's office. There's people in Australia, the doctor will not give you testosterone for your low libido because you are not married.
You're kidding me.
I am not kidding you.
Oh, that's terrible. I mean,
It's
how could you
terrible. It's
embarrass?
terrible. So you can start to see as I build my case why sticking testosterone just to libido, even if it was true, is a fraught thing in the doctor's office.
Yeah. Speaking of Australia and testosterone, I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Susan Davis's research. She does a
Mhm.
lot of research, and I haven't interviewed yet her, but I've heard her on other podcasts, and I feel like she's building the case for just the libido. I mean, it's not. I haven't heard her yet speak about other parts, other things that testosterone does. I don't. And what do you think of that research?
Yeah. Well, to me, anybody who says it's only for libido doesn't take care of enough women. What do I mean by that? No woman comes back and says, testosterone's only helping me with libido. Because our brains don't exist in a bubble. There isn't a libido section,
Mhm.
right? So the clinicians, the boots on the ground people who practice medicine, see a ton of women, they know this doesn't just help libido. And
Mhm.
so for people to say it only helps with libido, no, it's correct to say the most data we have is in the realm of libido and sexual function, not just libido. You have to admit it also helps significantly with arousal, orgasm, erection, lubrication. So which is not just libido. So even there, when you say it's only for libido, you're ignoring all this other amazing sexual health function testosterone data that we have.
Mhm.
But people who don't understand that it helps for more than libido, they don't talk to enough women
Yeah.
taking testosterone. It's plain and simple. Now, Dr. Davis is studying cardiovascular benefits on it. And I think sarcopenia, I don't want to speak out of hand, but she is doing other realms of research on testosterone. Looking forward to that. But I am concerned about somebody who's, if they do seem biased that it only helps with libido, why are they doing other research? Like we need to be very open in our research on this. So that's my hope is the more, I mean, the problem is testosterone's really cheap. There isn't great big pharma behind it. There's not going to be a lot of huge data. Pfizer's not going to put $1 billion behind researching testosterone. It's generic and unpatentable, right? So that's the other argument is people are like, we don't have enough data. It's like, who's going to do that research?
Mhm.
There's no money in this, let alone, so you really just have to understand how hormones work and we can extrapolate the male data. So why do, women take statins? They weren't studied on females. We took the male data and applied it to them. Women take high blood pressure medication. They weren't studied on females. We just took the male data and applied it to them. But with testosterone, we're like, there's no data. It's like, actually, there's a shit ton of male data. And our brains are not all that different. Why aren't we extrapolating? Because we can extrapolate all these other medications that we don't test on women. So I think it's just a major misunderstanding by people about how bodies work and how brains work. If you want to, why do people want to stay so narrow with libido? It's really weird. Testosterone helps libido in men,
Yeah.
but we have it FDA approved for hypogonadism,
Yeah.
meaning you can have testosterone when you have low testosterone. We didn't FDA approve it for low libido in men,
Oh,
right?
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So just look at the bias. Testosterone is fraught with bias like everywhere.
Oh my
And I
God.
think people are just trying to keep it contained, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. If a woman feels better on it, she feels better on it. I don't need a 20-year placebo-controlled trial to prove that. She tells me she feels better on it. She's happy with her quality of life. That's worth something. And I think that's where clinician expertise really plays a big role in this.
Yeah.
Like Just talk to the women who are taking testosterone and appropriately dose testosterone. If you start pushing it high, you're going to get side effects, right? But if you dose it female dosed, by and large, you don't have side effects from it.
Let's talk about some of the side effects because that's sometimes what scares women. It's like, oh, I don't want to turn into a man, or like it's a male hormone and I'm going to have chin hairs and oily skin, acne, the clitoris may grow and voice changes, and that's
If you take
loss.
if you take male doses.
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody in my community yet with that, other than perhaps some women who are doing pellets and then they do feel like they can't even wear underwear anymore because it's just making them too excited. And then they may have some of those side effects, but they go off that real quick, but very few and who are just using cream, like none that I have seen,
Yeah.
perhaps with a pellet, but
It's
again,
really hard to high dose on a cream. Their creams are very safe.
yeah. Yeah. Speaking of libido, I just want to ask you a question about desire. And when we look at the Harvard study of adult development, I'm not sure you're familiar with that study, and looked at what's making people living happier longer. And they looked at cardiovascular markers, they looked at smoking, exercise, everything. And they've concluded that after like, I think it's 70 years of research that, and it's still ongoing, that one of the things that bypass everything in terms of living happier longer is having strong connections, strong relationships, good bonds. And when I speak to women in menopause who are going through this, when you talk about sex or libido, desire, it's like the last thing on their mind. They just want to start feeling better with other things. But I was kind of stressed. Actually, it's kind of important, according to the Harvard study. Maybe you don't want to put it on the back burner, but why do you think so many women give up on pleasure after midlife?
Well, they're feeling shitty. I mean, again, libido doesn't exist in a bubble, right? To tell somebody they should have sex because it'll make you live longer when they really don't feel like having sex is a very mean thing to tell people. We got to get them sleeping,
Yeah.
feeling more like themselves, help the anxiety, help the body want to move, help the musculoskeletal syndrome of menopause, help their frozen shoulder, help the women feel better. But to tell women that they're supposed to have sex, even though they're feeling shitty, that's a really mean thing to tell people.
Yes, but not, but when they're talking about relationships, it's intimacy. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be sex. It doesn't have to be with the same sex partner or opposite, whatever it is. It's just having a connection with the butcher, let's say. Like you go and see these people who make you happy every day. These are just having these relationships, but having a deeper relationship, I think, is really important. And so the women who are really struggling, because you did mention, it was interesting in your episode with Susan Bratton that you mentioned a study. But you said studies about longevity and orgasms in women aren't done or something. And we have some surveys on female sexual satisfaction and expected longevity and things like that. But what, if you can remind me, it's such a good point that you made, is that there's studies about having sex and longevity or living happier longer or whatever it is, but not about the female pleasure or the orgasm. And it was interesting because I would try to have a look and I was like, oh, I don't find any.
Yeah, possibly what I was saying is we do have longevity data in men with orgasm longevity data, right?
Yes.
But they don't suss out like, hey, maybe you're having more orgasms because you're living with a partner who's like there to have orgasms with you, but also that partner's helping you go to bed on time and providing tasty meals for you. And there's all these other things that help you live longer. And it's not just the orgasm. And you can't suss that out in research, right? You really would have to be like masturbation data but even then, like people who are functionally able to have sex, maybe they have better cardiovascular health, right? And that's their longevity data. So for people, again, like I'm always very conscious of not being super mean to women or to people by telling them they need to have sex. But it's like to tell somebody you need to have an orgasm so you live longer. Again, it's a mean thing to tell people because yes, it's great and orgasms are healthy for you, but there isn't enough data to say it's the orgasm alone versus it's like you're healthy enough in general to masturbate or you're sleeping well, your stress is well managed so you actually can think about having sex. Like it's too complex. And humans really want to break it down and piece it out, but sex ultimately does not live in a bubble. So it's like you have to be feeling well and you have to be decently fit and you have to be sleeping okay. And like you have to have enough time and space in your life where the idea of sex multiple times a week is actually sounds favorable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like sex doesn't exist in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And to tell people that it should when they're not taking care of all these other parts of them or is it's oversimplifying it.
Yeah, and I think it goes a little bit deeper in terms of it's not the act of sex, it's the feeling of pleasure, I guess, or being happy, whatever. Eating cake makes you happy, right? Or having sex makes you happy, but it's about finding happiness, I think, and pleasure. And maybe the studies are also looking at, well, if you are happier or feeling better, or you have life is okay, your health is generally good, then maybe you're more likely to have sexual relationships. I mean, it doesn't seem that there's
Yeah, but you're assuming that women are having good sex in this scenario. And let's remind everybody about the orgasm gap, which is the highest in the heterosexual couple, where the man will have an orgasm about 98% of the time he has sex, and the female will have an orgasm about 60% of the time when she has sex. Now, orgasm isn't everything, you can argue that, but as a marker for pleasure, it's a decent metric, right? So you're like, okay, so if women are only achieving pleasure 60% of the time, they're eating reheated refried beans and he's out to a five-star Mexican restaurant,
yeah.
right? So even to say enjoy pleasure, sex is not equated with pleasure with a lot of people.
Hmm.
So you always have to ask that question when you're like, why don't women want to be intimate and be connected? Maybe it's shitty for them. Do we ask that question? Because here we are focused on like, why don't women desire sex? And here we are being like, because it's mushy broccoli for a lot of women. Have you asked them? And then they feel broken because they're like, am I supposed to like mushy broccoli? Is this all there is? Do you like mushy broccoli? And people are like, no, it's this mind-blowing spiritual experience. It's transcendent. And people are like, whoa, that is a whole different meal than what other people are consuming.
I want to order that.
Right. Yeah,
How do we get
exactly.
that?
So sex is very, very complicated. And I think we try to simplify it, but always remember, like the fact that it's complicated is like a perk of it, not a flaw.
Yeah. And I guess in the end, if you, when you're consulting people, it'd be interesting to see the woman who's like, you know what, I'm totally happy, like not having sex for the rest of my life, or I'm just, and maybe truly okay with it. And assuming her partner is as well, I don't know. What would you say to that?
I think you always want to validate where people are.
Hmm.
When you are in a sexual relationship that started out sexual and one partner wants to stay sexual, that is something you do need to address
Hmm.
because that's you fundamentally are in a different relationship than a relationship that started in a sexual way and one person wants to continue. That's where we want to bring in the professionals. This is
Hmm.
where sex therapists talk. But to me, I would be like, when was the last time you had great sex? Right? Because a lot of people, and Freud did this to us, Freud said that sex or libido is appetitive, meaning appetite driven. Meaning, if you're hungry, you're going to get more hungry. If you're thirsty, you're going to get more thirsty. If you're tired, you're going to get more tired. If you don't have sex in a while, you don't want more sex.
Hmm.
For a lot of people, some people do have an appetitive sex drive. A lot of people do not have an appetitive sex drive. And so it's like you forget how good it can be if you don't do it in a while. And people sit around just waiting for desire to blow over them like the wind. That's not how it works. You have to put yourself in a sexual context that is pleasurable. And then oftentimes desire happens during or after the sexual event. Oh my God, I forgot how good that was. That was awesome. Let's do that again soon. She's desiring sex after the sex.
Hmm.
So we think desire should come first. We think desire should be appetitive. We assume she's always had great sex and now doesn't want great sex. Don't make that assumption. Maybe it's been shitty forever and she's finally happy to give it up.
Hmm.
Right? So I think there's a lot you have to understand when a woman says, "Hey, I could take it or leave it," is like she's not taking or leaving a five-star Italian restaurant. Most people won't take or leave a five-star Italian restaurant. They'll be like, "Yes, every Saturday I'd like to have a reservation." So those are all the big things of like, yeah, it's incredibly complex, but don't assume she was having mind-blowing tantric sex and she just wants to give that up.
Yeah, it's such a good point. Absolutely. Because I think most women would agree with that. And so then, how many, when women who are coming to you would say, let's try to get the testosterone for my low libido and I want to experience pleasure again, or at least give it a good go. How many of them are actually finding that with testosterone, and how many are like, you know what, it's more than just a testosterone thing. There's probably something else going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say most women should read my book, or if they don't read my book, get a decent adult sex education, right? Because there's people do not understand sex enough, and then they hope the answer is testosterone. And then what do? You start a medication, and the medication doesn't work because you've never stimulated the clitoris. You've always ended sex when he had an orgasm. Like you're still doing sex shitty,
Mhm.
right? And then so testosterone doesn't work because it's just a brick, right? Doesn't make the house, doesn't make a home, just helps with the bricks. And then now they're a medication failure. So now they feel even crappier about themselves. And so do you understand sex? Do you understand the clitoris? Do you understand female orgasm? So the woman who benefits the most from testosterone, and she's like, "Oh my God, I love my partner. I would love to want to have sex again. We had great sex. It's just gray. It's harder to achieve an orgasm these days. It's just really harder to get aroused." I'm like, "Let's get your hormones dialed in. We'll probably get you back to how you were." Because she was having great sex. But if a woman's like, "It's never been great. I've never wanted it. Like, I think my partner's an asshole. I have pain down in my pelvis," because, like testosterone's not going to help that person as well.
Yeah.
So just to say, again, to say testosterone's for libido without explaining sex to somebody, to be like, testosterone will only help. And in the studies, it depends upon, what study you read, but it helps about 40 to 60% of people. It helps more than placebo. But remember, how many men in the Viagra trials, when given a sugar pill or placebo, got an erection?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to guess? Do you know?
No.
40%, 30 to
40. Oh,
40%. So placebo is incredibly important in
wow.
sexual health studies. Yeah.
That's more than I thought the average for placebo was about 30% for all drugs across, no more.
Sex is special
Sex is special. Gosh, 40% because
because the biggest sex organ is the brain.
yeah, so crazy.
Yeah.
Amazing. So in your practice then, like what happens, because we talked a lot about libido and testosterone, but like we said, just so much more than that. So what are you seeing in your practice other than libido when women start to replenish their testosterone?
Oh, their brain. They're just like, I have more energy. I don't hit a wall at 3 p.m. I don't have to drink coffee in the afternoon anymore. I just feel like more like getting things done. I've had multiple women start businesses. One woman's like, I ask more questions. I'm more curious about the world. Like it's a brain neurohormone. It's just helping your brain function better. I'm finally seeing the gains in the gym that I was working so hard for and never saw. So again, people, the stereotype is testosterone is just going to give you muscle. No, you have to feed your muscle. You have to work your muscle, but it can help with lean body mass.
It supports that. You even mentioned, I don't remember where I heard it, about someone coming off of their antidepressant medication.
Well, Louise Newsom's got those great abstracts that she published. The European Menopause Society, I think, is where she
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
those abstracts this year. So she was basically looking at women coming into a menopause clinic, and these are women who like wanted to get off their antidepressants, and so she wasn't forcing anybody to try to do this. And so we usually will start estrogen first. How are you doing? Can you get off them with estrogen? And some people got off antidepressants with estrogen. It wasn't zero. And then we started testosterone, and a much higher percentage were able to come off. Because what do estrogen and testosterone do? They work in the brain. They help modulate serotonin and dopamine. Dopamine's important for libido, serotonin's important for mood, right? So again, once you understand what these things do, it's not a leap to see why we're getting these results.
Mhm. Yeah. It's incredible. This reminds me, there was one question that was sent to me from my community, and they wanted to ask you about high dosage of testosterone. She didn't specify how much, but she mentioned Dr. Rebecca Glazer and Dr. Mark Richards
Mhm.
successfully treating menopausal women with the testosterone and saying that estradiol is maybe not that important or even risky. But so the question is it really doable and safe?
Well, yeah, I guess I would answer like, why would you pick one and go high with it instead of having like lower doses of all of them? Because your body uses all of them.
Hmm.
It's kind of a weird question.
Yeah.
Right. Like, why are you picking one and going high dose on it? That's kind of an odd thing to think about. Glazer's got amazing papers. She's had very successful with her. I think she is not dosing. Not all pellets are created equal, is I think what I want to say. Right. So Glazer's results, I believe them. Excellent papers, very validating on what testosterone can do to women. If you read her papers, you will realize it's not just for libido. And what I say is you got to earn your higher levels, right? Don't go from sea level to Everest base camp like it feels shitty. So, like, start on some hormones, see how you feel, go up slowly if that's what you want to do. But what do hair follicles hate? Hair follicles hate drastic change, drastic weight loss, postpartum, thyroid issues, stress, crazy hormone changes. And if you go zero to Everest Base Camp with your hormones, people are like, oh, I love my hormones, but all my hair is falling out. Ideally, don't shock your hair follicles.
Yeah.
So I fundamentally disagree with the like go high dose on one so you don't have to do the others. That makes no sense. It's not rooted in any science. Like it makes no sense. Now, maybe what they're saying is if in breast cancer patients who have a big stigma against estrogen, they're giving them testosterone and it's alleviating their symptoms.
Is
Right?
there,
So that is true. That doesn't mean that you should take high dose testosterone and not estrogen, though.
so yeah, I heard about these breast cancer patients. Was it breast cancer? Yeah. Oh, or maybe just cancer in general, and giving pellets, like high dose testosterone pellets to these patients. But I wasn't sure if it was to help with the symptoms or the actual cancer.
Well, testosterone it does seem to be beneficial in cancer cells of the breast. There's very intriguing data on that, and they're actually working on pharmacology to like basically fill the testosterone receptors because testosterone's breast protective. And there's also great data. Is this Glazer's data? There is data that women who are on testosterone have less incidence of breast cancer than the general population. Like, why is that not intriguing to people? Why do we just say testosterone is just for libido when we have that data, right? And I write about that in my book, and the first hormone chapter of my book is testosterone because the female body makes 4 times testosterone than estrogen, right?
Yeah.
But I talk about that. I'm like, why are we a world that is scared shitless of breast cancer? Like, ask a woman what she's afraid of medical wise. Not what she's going to die of statistically, because what she's going to die of statistically and what she's afraid of are 2 very different things. Ask her what she's afraid of, it's breast cancer. Okay. If that's our most feared thing, why aren't we looking at everything we can to decrease our risk, which includes don't drink alcohol. If you're at all freaked out about breast cancer, do not drink alcohol. And there's compelling data that testosterone users have a significantly decreased risk of breast cancer. And it's not a small decrease risk. It's not like 5% decrease risk. This is like 20 to 30% decrease risk.
So are they doing more research on this? Because
No, there's no money in it.
of course, there's no money in it. Yeah.
No, because all the societies are saying testosterone should only be used for libido.
This is so wrong. This is so wrong.
It should piss people off greatly.
Uh,
It should make you feel like women are being treated like infants.
Yeah. And such a simple solution. And like you said, when we look at hormones, I never call hormones drugs or even medication because I feel like it's just part of
Right? We need a better word. I haven't come up with it yet.
it's just hormones. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's your thyroid hormone. I don't even like saying thyroid medication. I'm like, you're putting thyroid hormone. Why are we calling it? But it's something that seems to be so close to nature, if not bioidentical, that why would we even go for a real drug? And when we have something so close to what we used to produce, and that's unfortunate that if there's no money in it, we're not going to have the research on it. And it could be saving lives and such a simple solution and not expensive either, right?
That's what's so crazy. And I mean, what you're really going to see is like the women who can advocate for themselves will choose to be on these hormones and will have decreased risk of breast cancer, right? Because estrogen decreases your risk of breast cancer as well, in case anybody missed that memo. So it's like you're going to see greater health disparities between the women who can advocate and have access and the women who can't. And that, frankly, is awful. Like everybody should have access and everybody should be able to advocate in a perfect world. But that's not what's currently happening.
Yeah. Let's talk about your book before we let you go, because we got a little bit of time. Because the menopause moment, right, is your new book that's coming out.
Yep.
I got it on pre-order. I haven't had a chance. I should have asked.
I'm glad if it's coming to Portugal. That's a big move.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, I'm really excited about it. And I think, and you've got a lot of bonuses and freebies and things like that. Tell us a little bit more because I would normally read the book before I interview you, but I should have asked you for the PDF.
We could have sent you a PDF in a second.
But tell us a little bit more what's in it so we know what to expect.
Yeah, so the menopause moment really is explaining the bricks, which are testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, and it's really arming you with data. And this is what I tell people. I'm like, I don't care if you take hormones or not. Like, I don't care. I'm not living your life, but I care deeply that you are educated and you know how to advocate. And that's what this book is for. have the details, know what the data is. We've been studying hormones in women for over 80 years. This isn't, do we have enough data if it's safe or not? It's like we know by and large, bioidentical, transdermal, estradiol, like the hormones our body makes,
Mhm.
delivered usually in a non-oral route, tends to be the safest. And we've got tons of data. And it's like in a world where we're scared shitless of breast cancer, we're scared shitless of dementia. I don't think we're quite scared shitless of hip fractures, but we should statistically wise. And we're also not scared shitless of heart disease, which is the number one killer of women, right? Like these hormones decrease all of those things, especially when started young, meaning that where it can actually prevent disease instead of treating disease. We have that knowledge. And so this book is working to put that knowledge in the hands of the woman because she can't read medical literature and it's behind paywalls and she can't go to the conferences. Like you need a place where you put it all. And so that's here. I also have chapters on how to talk to men, how to talk to your doctor, chapter about stopping drinking alcohol, chapter about mindset, right? Because if you're aging and your mindset is, oh, I'm old, oh, I can't do anything, oh, I don't have enough time, well, mindset matters greatly in how you age and how you heal. Like the data on it's insane that like how many more years people with good mindsets live.
Seven and a
So we do,
half.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Years. Yeah, it's
So that's in there because it's because people are like, oh, you just think hormones are the holy grail. It's like they're the bricks of a house,
yeah.
but it doesn't make a home. You need all the other pieces.
Yeah, it's the birth of a house, and like we spoke about it before, the woman who's having hot flashes, night sweats, can't sleep well, is struggling with her weight, just fighting everything, anxiety and stress. How do we expect her to go to the gym, make broccoli, and live a good diet and lifestyle? It's just you're not
Exactly.
primed for that,
I
and
know. That's what I said. I think it's mean. I think it's mean to tell women who are suffering that they need to do all these other things. Is like fix the suffering first, and then everything else can start to blossom and grow.
exactly. So yeah, I love these things to go hand in hand. But I'm really excited about the book, and I still have a billion and one questions for you, but I'm going to have you on again. And I'm excited. I think we'll have many more questions even with the book as well. But I'm so proud of you. I'm excited that this book is coming out. When we talked about the data and the research is out there, it reminded me of this woman who sent me a bunch of articles poo-pooing hormones from Harvard studies. So some people like the internet is full of articles. These maybe not the research studies, but this is
Mhm.
what most of the women are reading.
Well, the mainstream media is really, really bad. Really bad. Like
How,
progesterone causes brain cancer, and then you're like, no, there were like six tumors in this massive group of people. Because once you actually read the data, you're like, that's not what it said.
yeah,
But the way it gets diluted and then goes to mainstream is actually damaging.
it's sensational news, and that's what
It's
sells.
clicky. It's clicky.
It's something that I think is going to be really hard to fight, but that's why I encourage women to just read the books. Just read the books, go to the
It
podcast.
is. Yeah. Reading a book takes longer than a 60-second Instagram, but it's a heck of a lot better data. And it's all backed with like all the studies are in the back of the book, right? Like we say, we bring receipts
Yeah.
of actually having read them. It's tough to be like, who do you trust? Maybe the right answer is don't trust anybody. But if you truly want to know, like read the research, pay attention, ask good questions, and it starts to make sense.
So before I let you go, then what are three questions that a woman should be asking her doctor when she's interested in hormones and needs them for menopause?
Well, I don't think you need to ask. I mean, I think if you get told no, then you want to ask why not. But I don't think you would go in saying, should I be on hormones? I think you can go in and say, hey, I have recurrent UTIs and vaginal estrogen decreases the risk of UTIs by 50%. I would like a prescription. Advocate for what you want, explain why you want it. Always say you're going to follow up. Can I try this for 3 months, make a follow-up appointment and adjust as needed. Clinicians love knowing how you do, right? Don't leave us high and dry. We're part of your team. We want to know and bring back your wins, right? When testosterone works, don't, and it works for more than libido, tell people that it works for more than just libido because the mainstream media is saying you can only use this for libido and zero women come back and say only my libido's better. Zero women. Libido does not exist in a vacuum. It does not exist in a small box in your brain. It makes no sense that it would only help with that. So yeah, it's advocate, be part of the team. I will follow up. I will ask questions as needed. But really, remember 2 decades of physicians didn't get trained in menopause after the WHI. So to go in not knowing if your doctor is friendly to this idea and then say, should I? You know more than your doctor at this point. You might need to bring them my book. You might need to bring them other people's books. You might need to recommend podcasts. And if at the end of the day, they're not going to help you in what your desires are, not all countries, Canada, it's very hard to get a second opinion in Canada.
Yeah.
But in America, you're allowed to get second opinions.
Yeah. You're allowed to fire your doctor if you don't, not happy.
Yeah. Well, it sounds harsh, but you're allowed to seek a second opinion.
Yeah. So I would recommend everyone to go and read the book of your book, as well as they chose you to be on the FDA panel for a reason. And that's why we trust you and what you're saying, as well as Dr. Heather Hirsch and Dr. Vonda Wright and Dr. Rachel Rubin. Everyone's got material to read. And I'm going to have a list of these things in the show notes, as well as how to get the book, how to pre-order it. I think it's coming out September 16th. Is that right?
September 16th in the US, September 18th everywhere else.
Let's see if we can push our editor out to get this just as it launches, and we'll make the New York Times bestseller list. And if we got your podcast, You're Not Broken, I'll have links to your Instagram and your website, kellycaspersonmd.com. And you've got some events coming up. Is there anything else you'd like to share about?
Oh yeah, if you just go on my website to the events page, because it's off the hook right now, US based only right now, but it's like Chicago, New York, LA, Palo Alto, Denver, Jersey, Connecticut. Did I say New York? Yeah. Orlando. So
those are all books.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
Taking a tour.
Book signings. And you also have the Women's Health and Menopause event, I think, in New York City in October.
Yep.
With all the best Beno besties. So
all our friends.
I'm excited. If I were around in the US, I would definitely show up, but everyone else
would be happy to have you.
Please get out there.
And a lot of these events have virtual options. So check out the events page on my website, and there's a lot of virtual options you can sign up for.
Awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much, Dr. Kelly. I really appreciate all the work you're doing. It's hard to do what you do, and you're doing it all. You're writing books, you got the podcast, and you're doing all the research, and it's a mountain. So thank you so much for all that you do.